So the Global-PPS, as I said, is a tool, but also methodology. It's a cross-sectional methodology for cross-sectional measuring the way how antimicrobials are being prescribed, what their indication is, what type of antimicrobials, where they are in the AWARE classification, and so on. It has been designed originally for inpatient use, but now since last year, since 2023, we opened also a new module for use in outpatient settings. This means for outpatients, for consultations, but also for primary care settings and for emergency departments. And that's really great, we think, because we try to respond to a need that was given to us, to many hospitals, give us the opportunity to generate data also on this important place, because we know that the large majority of antimicrobial prescriptions are really in the outpatient setting, and so that really deserved a lot more attention for a long time. So the outpatient module is really very flexible and can be applied both in outpatient departments, in consultations, but also in emergency departments, for instance. And therefore, it is really made for hospitals to use it in the place where they think they need it most to gain in new insights in the use of antimicrobials in their outpatient settings. For the outpatient module, it's pretty much the same as for the inpatient module. It's very low tech, very low threshold, free of charge, and we have also still real-life human beings behind the screens to guide you, to help you, to give you advice if you're a bit stuck with your data, or to help you with the interpretation. So all you need to do is go to our website, Global-PPS, and register your hospitals and give it a go. Since the outpatient module has been made available, there's been several hospitals, both in Europe and in Africa, who started collecting data and using the tool for several settings. And what have we learned so far? Well, interestingly, both in emergency departments, but also in other outpatient settings, there is a very broad variety of indications and use of antimicrobials, which probably opens a lot of occasions and opportunities for improvement. Certain settings and countries apply much stricter guidelines for antimicrobial prescribing, and you see that also reflected in the way how antimicrobials are hence used in that setting. And for instance, in outpatient consultation services in African hospitals, we see a broad variety of indications, and the next very relevant and much needed step would be to match these indications with, for instance, the AWARE handbook, and see how a conversion of the practice and the handbook could be in the near future, and how we can support hospitals and prescribers to come and to streamline much more towards, let's say, the AWARE handbook guidelines. For instance, in the UK, which has very strict guidelines on antimicrobial prescribing in presumed sepsis, we see this also reflected in antimicrobial prescribing in emergency departments, whereas sepsis as a diagnosis emerges much less in many other settings. So that says something about the importance and the impact of guidelines. For the outpatient module, we are really in the phase of exploring and discovering how hospitals and healthcare settings in diverse settings are dealing with outpatient prescribing and outpatient use of antimicrobials. Therefore, we really want to stimulate prescribers and hospitals, healthcare settings to explore this module and to see what can you learn from your own prescribing, and to what point can that help you in improving and rationalizing the way how you deal with your outpatient prescribing.